guys, welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy X. Last time, we defeated the boss, the Sanctuary Keeper, at the top of Mount Gagazet. This time, I would like to show something off, because when I was doing all my monster capturing after the end of the last episode there, I was playing around and I thought, oh, I should probably fill up my Aeon's overdrives. Thing that I wasn't thinking about at the time was how lucky I was about to get with Yojimbo. Now, I didn't get the footage from it, so I'm going to show you the first summoning and loading an old file and hope that I get as lucky the second time around, because I've never heard of this before. But we'll see if we get incredibly lucky a second time. The initial summoning of Yojimbo is always really cool. I like the traditional music.
Please clear us a path.
Do it? Nah, damn. Okay, so the way Yojimbo works... Ow. Where's your evasion at, Yojimbo? Okay, he's going to go twice in a row. Wow, this could end up really bad. But the way that Yojimbo works is, as you can see, you can't teach him abilities, you can't control anything. You have to pay Yojimbo for his services. He has a chance, and the calculations for pretty much any of Yojimbo's abilities is really, really overly complicated, and I'm not going to really get into it too much. But the idea here is that he has a chance at the start of his turn of making an action for free, so you won't have to pay him. Now, he gave it to me twice there. When I was battling around off-screen in the file that I captured all the monsters in, he used Zanmato on his first turn for free the first time I summoned him. And I'm still dumbfounded that he did that. It is ridiculously rare to get him to do that. Okay, so basically, and as I was fighting around, I fought like 6 battles with him. He used it 4 times. Zanmato 4 times. And I hadn't done any, training him up or anything like that. I'll get into a little bit of that in a moment here, but basically the idea here is the starting compatibility, and that's basically what determines what type of attacks Yojimbo will use. On the scale of bad to good, the Diagro, the dagger thing, Wakizaishi and Wakizashi, and then Zanmato. Zanmato being, of course, the most rare one. And as he's doing those skills, the compatibility you have between Yojimbo and Yuna will determine how likely he is to use the stronger ones. Now, the compatibility, I talked about this before, using the dog, the Diagro, that will lower his compatibility by 3, I believe. And Kosuko, or the dagger, I think that's how you pronounce it. I can't look at it at the moment, so I don't know. That will lower your compatibility by 1 point. If he uses Wakizashi against one target, it increases it by 1. Against all targets, it increases it by 3. If he uses Zanmato, it increases it by 4. In the original PS2 version, he started with compatibility of 50. In the HD and PAL versions, he starts with 128, making it much, much, much easier to get Zanmato. And this shows because I had never gotten it in any of the files I've ever done until earlier today when I was capturing monsters. So I am just ecstatic at that. The other thing that increases your chances of getting Zanmato or increasing your compatibility count is having a full overdrive with Yojimbo. So you'll want to have a full overdrive with him pretty much the whole time. If you dismiss him here without him having done an action, it will actually lower your compatibility by 3. If Yojimbo dies, it lowers it by 10. And if you go to pay him and you pay him 0, he'll dismiss himself, but it lowers your compatibility by 20. Do not do that ever. From what I've read on the facts there, the walkthroughs on GameFAQs about Yojimbo, basically the plan is to never pay him 0, never let him die, always have his overdrive full, Never pay him less than 1,024 gil, and I will explain that later. Normally, because I'm lazy, I'm just going to do that. And basically, the most important aspect of this, pray to the RNG gods. Do it. Nope, he didn't do it. He did kill one of them, and if he dodges this... No, he doesn't even going to attack me. Okay, we'll see if he uses it. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll be able to show it off. But yeah, do not let Yojimbo die. It will end badly for you. Okay, so he's just going to do that. That's fine. I'm not particularly worried because I'm not saving this file because basically this was just an older file and don't care about the experience or anything like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you. This is the walkthrough that I have been following there for Yojimbo. It's up here. That's the guy who wrote it. Thank you. All right, so these are the tables that he has, and from what I've read, these are the percentages in the middle here, and the compatibilities up at the top. So if you look at up at the top, about 128 is what we're looking at, and if we give him about 1,024 there, that means our percentage chance of him using Zanmato is about 60% if we do not have our overdrive full, and we're against enemies whose Zanmato levels, it's a hidden stat in the game. Pretty much normal enemies are between 1 and 3, and a few bosses. Most bosses are level 4. All of the original creations in the Monster Arena are level 5, and I don't know what the Dark Aeons or Penance are yet. I don't think that information is even known, but anyway, so you can see here what the value I was about to note here was 59, because 59 there is 128, and pay him at least 1,024 gil. If your overdrive is full, it increases your chances drastically, and as you can see here, 128 and 1,024 gives you 91% chance. So we want to get his overdrive full so that he has a higher chance of using it to make our life a lot easier. Now, if we're both these graphs here are for level Zanmato level 1 to 3, and if you were using no overdrive against Zanmato level 4 to 6, your chances are drastically reduced. So as you can see, 28, and we only have 17. So that's not a very high chance of using Zanmato to take down bosses. If your overdrive is full, then your chances are going to be a little higher at 48. Still not really super high with the compatibility level we have. If you want to build up Yojimbo so that he's really, really good, then you basically have to feed him 1,024 gil over and over and over again and hope that he builds his compatibility by using Wakizaishi or Zanmato. I'm not going to do a whole lot of this. I may do it a little bit to build it up for one specific enemy, but that's about it. Anyway, I just wanted to show that off. It took me about half an hour to do the remaining monster capturing in here. I gained about 4 or 5 levels, sphere levels. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my other file that has all that up, and I'll see you there. Okay, so we're back now. I've loaded up the appropriate file. As you can see where my levels are, they're quite high. I probably should do some sphere grinning, though as you can see, we're pretty close to the end here. There's not a whole lot I'm going to get for some of my characters as I move toward the end of their own grids. You can use key locks here, level 3 lock to break Titus into Yuna's grid here, or, with Yuna, by the time she gets to the end of her grid, she breaks into Riku's grid. Let's see here. Riku's grid, and eventually will break into... Yeah, so that's the end of Riku's grid. She'll break into Lulu's grid. Let's see, Lulu breaks into Wakka's grid. Where the hell is the end of her grid here? Right here. So there she gets Flare, and then she breaks into Wakka's grid. Some of the characters go, at the end of their grid, into another good choice, like Auron will break into Titus's grid. That's a good choice for him. Wakka breaks into, by the end of his, he breaks into Auron's grid. That's good for him. But breaking people into Lulu's grid probably not the best choice. So I'm going to move some characters around by the time we get to the end there. I'll also be doing a batch of of whatever that thing is, the sphere gridding at some point, but not quite yet. We just don't really need it. We're more than powerful enough to take out all the enemies and get lots of overkills. That looks awesome.
A city dead for 1,000 years. A city I had to see with my own eyes. The end of Yuna's journey.
Yep. Not the end of the game, but the end of the journey.
The last chapter in my story.
Well, he keeps saying that things
My
are
thoughts, they
his
kept
story.
floating up and then slipping through my fingers. Slipping away before I could pin them down with words.
They will actually explain why
Yuna, I say no.
he keeps calling it his
If
story.
we go down there, then you'll...
Riku, you're a true friend, and I thank you, but I must go down to Samarkand.
At long last.
I'm not saying we shouldn't go. But shouldn't we think about it some more? There's gotta be some kind of way we can save you, Yuna!
All my life, I knew this moment would come.
Yuni...
Thank you,
What was that?
Riku. Thank you for everything.
Don't say that, Yuni. It's not over yet.
Always one of my favorite themes
Tell
in the
Sin.
game.
Thank you.
No. You can tell him yourself.
Good answer.
Please.
Yuni, don't say that because we're gonna see each other again, okay?
Kimahri, let's go.
What did you drop there? I don't know if you can actually skip this, but I wouldn't recommend it. This explains a bunch. This isn't the Jeskel sphere that we saw before. This one's different. I'm not sure if you listen to spheres or if you watch spheres, and I don't know at this point. Tidus is confusing me.
Sir Auron, Kimahri told me, when my father wanted me taken from Bavel to Besaid, it was you who told Kimahri, right? I had always wanted to meet you someday. I am truly glad that I had that chance. Having you as a guardian was so great an honor. I don't know how to thank you. Perhaps, if I defeat Sin, that will be my thanks to you. That's what I'll do. Yes. I will challenge Sin. I will defeat Sin. If you are all there watching this, then I guess Sin is already gone. And so am I. I suppose.
This is her will.
Anyway, I just wanted to say, Sir Auron, I thank you.
Or her last thoughts.
Kimahri, do you remember the first day we met? I was only 7. My father had defeated Sin, and all Bavel was celebrating. Everyone was saying what a hero my father was. I was so happy. But when night came, it occurred to me. My father had defeated Sin, and now he was dead. Now, I was all alone. I
At
couldn't
7.
sleep. So I wandered into the town, away from the celebrating crowds.
7
I
years
stood
old.
on the bridge in Bavel, where my father and I had parted. Standing there, alone, I could see the fields where he had fought sin. Then, you appeared, Kimahri. You said you were looking for the daughter of Braska, remember? At first, I was so scared. Until I realized what a gentle person you are. You weren't used to talking to children. When I told you that I was Braska's daughter, you said you would take me as far from Bavel as you could. That it was the wish of a man facing death. I think I cried then, because that was when I knew my father was dead, and I would never see him again. You just held me, without saying a word. I cried after we got to Besaid, too. When you tried to go, after leaving me in the care of the temple, I held on to you crying, "Don't go, don't go!" And you listened, Kimahri. You stayed. Kimahri, thank you. Thank you so much. And I've always liked your broken horn. Wakka, Lulu. I'll never forget my days spent with you, growing up in Besaid. We always played together, us and Chapu. That's why I was always so happy, I think. And when you refused to let me become a summoner, and I did it anyway, I'm sorry. I've always wanted to apologize. You know, when you tried to stop me then, really, I was happy. I could tell you really cared about me. You were like my big brother and sister. No, I think you really were my big brother and sister. What else? I love watching you play blitzball, Wakka. I even love it when you scold me, Lulu. Really. I guess that leaves the newest Guardian. Star player of the Zanarkand Abes. You are... I am... Well, I'm glad that we met. We haven't even known each other that long, but... It's funny. So this is what it feels like. It's a much more wonderful feeling than anything I had ever imagined. Wonderful. But it hurts sometimes. I wonder. I just want to say thank you for everything. Maybe that's why it hurts. When I think about us never being together again at all. I'm afraid. No, I shouldn't say that. I'll do that part over.
What you up to?
So all the way back then, even then she knew that she loved him. And, well, that's awesome. At the same time, there's a problem with that scene. Why does she know that early? It just seems, you know, too forced because they're the main characters. But the rest of that scene is incredible. It's so heart-wrenching. Such a beautiful scene. I absolutely love that one. That's why I didn't say very much. not really much to say now. We're at the end of the mountain, descending into Zanarkand. Kind of looks familiar though. And yes, they replay the entire opening. And what this does, if you remember the ending to the opening the first time around, Tidus says, "Listen to my story. This may be our last chance." So what he's doing is he's recording this story in a sphere for whoever to listen to later. But yeah, he retells the entire story. The first 40 hours is a flashback. It's kind of a strange way of building up the start of, you know, your game. It's kind of weird because it, even though it's a flashback, it doesn't feel like a flashback. And that's one of the reasons why he continues to say, "This is my story," because he's the one telling the story. And from that perspective, it makes sense. The game itself is more so Yuna's story. That's the important part of the story, at least to me. But as I've said throughout the entire game, Tidus is our lens. That's how we're viewing this world. And that's what makes the story what it is. Otherwise, I don't think they could tell this same story and keep the emotional kind of attachment and the small twists and turns and the reveals and stuff like that. You know, we just wouldn't be able to do those without this point of view of viewing the story. But I still love this song. Did it just glitch? That kind of sucked. Oh well.
Listen to my story. This may be our last chance.
The only thing different this time, there's no Final Fantasy X logo right at the start after he says it.
Hey, there was more, right? I mean, like that time. Anyone?
So some people think that he's telling them the story
yes.
that they just
I
heard
think that
or
we
they
should
just experienced.
Maybe. For now.
But I think he's just getting their input on telling the story to this sphere so that they can, you know, share it with everybody else. And that's, I guess, the concept of what the game is supposed to be. It's what's recorded in this sphere. At least that's my interpretation of it, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. There we go. And can we talk to any of these people? No, we can't talk to them. Anyway, that's pretty much all the time we have for today. Next time, we will continue further into Zanarkand itself. That's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.